Give that a whirl. Okay. So, yeah, absolutely. I know some people have adult submit parts and I don't. And so I feel like that might affect some of the observations I make because I don't have adult submit parts. So my submit parts always experience age regression, for example. And I don't know for a fact if that's related specifically with the submit part or if that's an aspect of our system. So that's kind of why I want to put that disclaimer there. All the other stuff is science-based, so it's going to be accurate. So we got the different fight, flight, freeze, submit, and attach parts. I'm so sorry YouTube wasn't working. I went ahead and logged off because it was freezing up so bad. But I'm recording a video and I'll share that on Patreon for you guys. So sorry. Let me get back on track. Get back to that part of my brain. So the fight part geared toward aggression, and there's going to be a lot of tension. And so when we're coping, if the fight parts are out and experiencing too much aggression and body tension and just and impatience and these sorts of things, we will bring forward the child parts, the submit parts, and or the attach, and that can help bring balance to the experience. And so we create tender moments and we do all these kinds of things. All of ours are, aside from one, but she's more and distant, so we can't really learn from her right now. Yeah, for sure. And so the fight, flight, freeze, and it helps bring balance. I don't know. I don't have another example. We'll move forward. Okay, so the nervous system regulation. Oh, mute. Okay, that makes more sense. Yes, being mute. That has to do with what we're about to talk about. Nervous system regulation. So, being mute is actually a symptom of the submit part of consciousness and a symptom of a dysregulated parasympathetic nervous system. At least it can be in my experience. When we experience selective mutism, what's happening is the language part of our brain is shutting down. And so maybe we can comprehend language externally in those processes, but we cannot create it in response. And so we cope with that the same way we cope with any other symptom. We apply the coping tools to bring comfort and presence and safety and love and compassion. And then we apply opposite action tools to help bring balance and regulation to our life experience. And so with selective mutism, that would, how do we know mute versus not having good communication with them? By external things. Being mute has to do with your physical ability to talk. Anything discovered internally is, sorry, let me sort my thought out. Not having good communication with parts is an internal experience. Being mute is an external experience. And so when you need to fix something, you have to figure out where it's coming from. Being mute is an external experience, so you're going to need to do something external to help that. Not having good communication with parts is an internal experience, and so to help that, you are going to need to apply internal things to the experience. Okay? And then, yeah, I hope that helps. And so for selective mutism, for example, we take those two steps. We take the step to bring comfort and safety and stuff, and so we apply positive action tools for the submit part and or the parasympathetic nervous system regulation. And for a list of all those, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Kristin Chronicles. And then the second step would be to apply opposite action. And so after you've had the coping, then you do the recovery piece. There's the coping piece where you bring warmth and safety and security and presence and just be with your part. And then the recovery piece is doing opposite action to bring balance and regulation to your life experience. So a part with selective mutism would appear mute externally, but not internally. I mean, in theory, I I don't know. I don't know. Our parts, the way that we talk internally isn't through words, it's through subconscious interactions. And so, regardless of our physical ability to speak, we can still communicate emotions and feelings and visual ideas internally. And so, being mute doesn't affect the ability to communicate internally because you're not communicating with words, you're communicating with feelings and general sensations and stuff. But if you experience your internal world in a very physical sense, then it could, parts could be mute. Like if you experience your internal world as you actually just stand there as two separate beings and you talk to each other using words and not feelings, then like, yes, it could be impacted. But that's generally not how the subconscious works. Both because selective mutism is a passive form of withdrawal. Yes, we feel each other. Yes, subconscious communicates through feelings, emotions, and body sensations. All parts are within the subconscious. And so if a part is mute, that means that their physical experience involves being mute. It has nothing to do with their ability to feel and think, which is all subconscious. And so we can still feel and think with them, even if they can't talk when they're fronting. I hope that helps. And so once we've applied that first piece, the coping piece, then we do the opposite action. So for selective mutism, it's a lot of humming. A lot of humming, and once you do that for a while, a lot of chanting. Creating vocal vibrations and establishing a sense of presence within your being in that process. And so with any symptom, you do those two things. First, the coping piece where you apply positive presence, positive action, and then the recovery piece where you take opposite action. And so for selective mutism, the coping piece could look like creating a safe space and, having sweet foods and soft, warm, cozy things and a nice dimly lit room with good smelling candles going, kind of a thing. You create a safe space, and then from there you take the opposite action. You do some humming, a humming meditation. We have a playlist specifically for that on Spotify. Our profile for that is just Kristin Chronicles. You can search for that, or if you can't find it, just let me know and I can send you a link. And so doing a humming meditation. And if we cannot do these things when we are experiencing the selective mutism, that's okay. We stick with step one. We just use the coping. We don't do the recovery piece. It's all allowed. It's all a part of the journey. You are allowed to be exactly where you are. And then when the selective mutism is gone, then we can take that recovery piece and we can do some humming. And maybe that part won't be fully front, but we're still communicating to that part. And it's still going to help in the long run if we do it on a regular basis. So that's fight, flight, freeze, submit, attach, and going on with normal life self. And then the nervous system regulation, the signs of a dysregulated sympathetic nervous system. And this is all on my blog. The link is in my bio here on Instagram. Signs of a sympathetic nervous system dysregulation could include excessive sweating, increased feelings of increased body temperature, increased pain tolerance, increased substance tolerance, increased energy, decreased need for sleep, increased physical anxiety, decreased appetite, racing thoughts, anxiety, hypomania, or like mania. I was misdiagnosed with bipolar for a long time because of the nervous system dysregulation. And then, so the sympathetic is your high energy dysregulation, and then parasympathetic is your low energy nervous system dysregulation. And so within that, you might experience catatonia, selective mutism, depression, psychomotor retardation, whereas with sympathetic nervous system dysregulation, you'll experience psychomotor agitation. The need to sleep more than usual, feeling more hungry than usual, or having a greater appetite more than usual, I should say. Decreased energy, all of that kind of thing. That's signs of a parasympathetic nervous system dysregulation. And so noticing that, we use the two things, coping and then recovery. We cope with it by applying positive pressure on whatever we're experiencing. And again, all of this information is on Patreon at patreon.com/Kristin Chronicles. And then we do the second step and take opposite action. So we apply whatever we need to bring balance. And this has been our main coping tool for years. We finally put it all into a scientific, like thing, a module kind of thing 1 year ago. But it's been our tools for years and years, and we just keep developing it and sharpening the preciseness of it all. And then the third way that we can reclaim our personal power. And please let me know if you guys have any questions. I do want this to be interactive. We're hanging out together for a few more minutes. So let me know if you have any questions about what I'm saying. I have to stay focused and plow forward, or I dissociate. So if I'm talking faster, I don't feel rushed is what I'm saying. I feel rushed because I'm trying to stay present. I don't want me talking fast to make you feel rushed, because I know I can feel that way. And so the third way we can reclaim our power living with structural dissociation is to notice, so smart! Thank you, friends! I like to feel like I can be smart sometimes. That's the other thing we'll add before we can go into the inside-out theory of consciousness that we're working on our thesis paper. Signs of integration. This is a positive thing. Signs of integration. Fight parts could not experience joy before. They could not experience peace before. They could not be present with tender, gentle moments of stillness. Signs of integration are that they now can. There's moments of joy. There's moments of peace. There's moments of tenderness. And for that's for fight and flight parts, I guess, too. The sympathetic dysregulation. And then submit parts, child parts. Submit parts did not have a capacity to feel confident. Had no capacity to feel confident, had no capacity to establish personal boundaries, had no capacity to, I guess those are the main ones. And so now, as a sign of integration, we now can. Submit parts can now establish their own boundaries. Submit parts can now experience legitimate confidence, actual confidence. And it's great because our friend noticed it. Ocean called our friend the other day, and he didn't even recognize her because her voice had so much confidence in it. Like, it's really cool. The signs of integration are really beautiful. They don't have to be scary. And if they ever do get scary, it's being present with the experience and then reframing it, coping and recovering, using that two-step process again and again. So, our inside-out theory of consciousness states that the going on with normal life self in the left brain hemisphere, when fully lucid, meaning has full access to the frontal lobes of the brain, including the prefrontal cortex, our consciousness is right side in. When the going on with normal life self is not the one dominantly present, which can happen with blending, dissociative blackouts, a variety of things that involve presence of parts. The right brain hemisphere is dominantly present, the left brain is not clearly accessible, and the frontal lobes are completely shut down. Completely offline, nowhere to be found, zero activity. All the activity is coming from the right brain hemisphere. That means our consciousness is inside out. And so there's strengths and struggles within each thing. Fight, flight, freeze, submit, attach, going on with normal life self, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system dysregulation, and the inside out consciousness and right side in consciousness. They all have individual, personalized strengths and struggles. And so by recognizing this, we can help them use their strengths to help each other's struggles and fit together like a puzzle piece, like a nice little puzzle. And so anytime someone's having a struggle, we look to a part who has a strength that can help that. And so the consciousness, when it's right side in, has a greater capacity for mental clarity, has a greater capacity to create new memories, has a greater capacity to learn new information, has a greater capacity to experience vibrations without dissociations. But then the consciousness, when it's inside out, it also has strengths. When the consciousness is inside out, there's a higher pain tolerance, higher tolerance for substances, increased ability for repetition. And so, like, for example, when I state my affirmations and my consciousness is inside out, the information is ingrained way quicker and way more powerfully than when my consciousness is right side in. Repetition is more powerful when my consciousness is inside out, and we can use that to our advantage once we become mindfully aware of it. And so all of the, oh, we like to make hearts because you smile. That's so nice, friend. I like to smile and heart, so I get to win like twice here. Low battery, so we're going to wrap this up. But we can reclaim our power by those three things: recognizing whether our consciousness is inside out, recognizing whether our nervous system is dysregulated, and recognizing what parts are present, and using the two-step process of coping and recovery, coping with positive action and recovery with opposite action. We can reclaim our power in any and every given moment. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's going to be a big part of what Healing Journey Homeschool Life Coaching Program is all about. And in the meantime, we're going to explore it more and more and more on a really personal, intimate level on our Patreon platform. And that's our own personal recovery Healing Journey Homeschool Program. So thanks so much for popping in, everyone. I had a blast hanging out with you. I love getting to share my days with you. Today is day 14 of Healing Journey Homeschool, and by the time we get to day 365, our life is going to be magically changed. I love you all. Have a beautiful and blessed day, my brave, beautiful warrior soul friends. All right, so we need to get better at keeping up with the memory in our phone, and to do that, we need to clear off memory on our laptop, which always causes dissociation. So we're going to use tools to get grounded and take it one step at a time and prioritize presence over productivity. Oot, oot! Yep, that's my little cheer sound.